how does a soldier start thinking like a businessman? Okay, there are some disciplines in the soldier that are important for business. This, for you to work, it has to run full time. Businessman are full time. I sleep, I thinking of business. I wake in the morning, it's business. When it comes to defend the country, we put everything down and go defend the country. Once it's over, we start down again and say, what are business?
Businesses thrive where security exists. On Armed Forces Day, the Startup Body Shop salutes the men and women of the Republic of Sierra Leone Armed Forces. Every business we build, every entrepreneur we support, it's only possible because of those who protect this nation. This is to Sierra Leone's finest. Thank you for your service.
This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design.
So I'm in a military facility, an officer's mess somewhere in the country, and the beauty about the entrepreneurship journey, now the fact that the principles and what it takes to build a business is so universal that I could go anywhere in the world, I could go into any profession, and I could apply those principles in building. Even where it's not for-profit stuff, but you could build sustainability. So even for not-for-profits have to be able to sustain themselves. That means not spend more than they can generate every year. They could have reserves. They could build revenue-generating activities, sustainable ones that know they don't have to continuously go as donors to continuously give them money, but that they could actually have a means to generate revenues for themselves so that they can be self-sustaining. Some of us know that the military has been involved in a couple of stuff which are income generating, and in fact you need to know that according to the Constitution, the military has two roles. One of them is defending the territorial integrity of the nation, which is, Sierra Leone, and that's what they've been doing when it comes to defense, the defense, and that's basically most of what we know the military for. Now, there's also this other bit which is to contribute to national development. Now, and so what the military has been doing over the last couple of months is to formalize some of the initiatives they've been pursuing over the last couple of years. Those of you who are young coming up, we know that the military used to be involved, and you could hear a lot of banter going on around because it's a facility, and you have soldiers hanging around. This is the bar. This is the bar area, so you have soldiers hanging around. But I'm sure I can get through to you now. So what the military has been trying to do is to formalize. Those of you who are old enough know there was a point in time where, the engineering unit in the military was solid, robust. And so they would be doing road constructions and a couple of other stuff. How do you make that revenue generating to the extent that you can use it to sustain the military? Because the burden of running the military infrastructure can be so expensive, it can be so heavy on the nation. And so how do you make that also self-sustaining? And so what the military has been doing over the last couple of years, and particularly the last couple of months, is to move on to formalization. How do you formalize what they've been doing? Reactivating, re-energizing their engineering unit. We all know that a few years ago they had maybe 82 pieces of equipment that they received, from graders to trucks to Caterpillar and bulldozers and a lot of other equipment that they had. How do you make that sustaining? And so the military want to be able to make sure that sustains itself, produces revenue, generates revenue, so that the military would not just be dependent on the budget, the government, what they get from the budget, but they can be able to generate their own revenue. The hospital, 34th Military Hospital. Can you run that as a profitable business? Raising quality, but at the same time, raising quality, but also make sure it generates enough revenue to sustain itself. the military buys drugs every year. Can some of that drugs be handled and managed locally through joint ventures, where because the military has shares in those joint ventures, what it means is that government will no longer be paying to a third party to supply these drugs. It would happen locally, and in a venture that the military has stake in. So what it means is that whatever profits is being made by this company, you would both have reduced costs because it's produced internally, but whatever profit is made, the military gets to benefit from that, and that is deployed also to the welfare of the military, securing its equipment, that it needs, so that it's not totally, completely dependent, on the government's budgets, the main government budget. Agriculture, the military has been involved in agriculture. You have troops all over the country. When troops do not have to go to war, which nobody wants war, what would the military do? And so with troops all over the country, so creating these avenues where you could get the military to produce these things is definitely an exciting prospect. And you should know that this is not new. Surveys have been done already all over the world, in Africa, in Asia, in Europe, where this model has been deployed and works. There are pros and cons to this, but like anything in life, there are risks. You want to be able to say, what are the risks? How do we mitigate these risks? So this is the journey. This is why I'm here, because I have been supporting the military in the very early stages, rationalizing what this could be like. And this is a story for them. One of theirs went to a commercial bank to raise loans, and it was so frustrating. It was to pay fees for a child that was going to go to university and wanted to raise a loan. The process was so frustrating, and the cost of raising this loan was going to be so high that it didn't make sense. So the military finance department decided, okay, what would it take to set up our own loan product that caters directly for the military? And that's what they went on to do. They built what is called AFELS, AFELS. We'll tell you a bit more, but what it does is that the military guys do no longer have to go to the banks, commercial banks, microfinance institutions to take loans, which are personal loans. It can now be financed through the military, through this fund, and that fund is going to be set up as a company by itself. It's not exciting. Well, it's exciting and it's interesting. So that's the journey. That's the journey we're on, and that's the discussions. So I'm thrilled to be able to support the military in this process. Now, the only thing I would like to say before I step out, before I leave and invite my colleagues to come take this forward, is that how does a soldier start thinking like a businessman? That's a question that's going on in my mind, because you've been used to, okay, there are some disciplines in the soldier that are important for business. In fact, of the language that you have in military actually filtered. So the kind of mindset, but I say tactical stuff and everything that you have to do, and strategy, even the word strategy, started from the military. And so, but it only goes that far. It gets to a point in time where you have to add something to the military mindset to make you a good businessman. To move this forward, for me to continue to provide this leadership, there are things I need to learn that I don't know now, and I have to be willing to learn them. In terms of the process that will take place, whether the training, build a military academy, one of the provisions that were there and thoughts that we'll be looking forward is just to bring an academy. It's a business academy in the military, so that those who say this is their path, this is their career, they would master it as a profession. So, we could do the training, we could do everything, but you're approaching it, you're a businessman. You have the business mindset, business plan. You could lay it all out. When it comes to defend the country, we put everything down and go defend the country. Once it's over, we sat down again and say, what are business? And one important point is that the two legs, they are ways, they complement, but there's another bit where this, for it to work, it has to run full time. For this to work, our business role has to be full time. That's just the point I want to nail. For this to work, our business role has to be full time. So it means we have to be diverse. If this is the angle we want to go, we have to be diverse from, our security defense role. Businessman are full time. I sleep, I think in a business. I wake in the morning, it's business. So the way you would have your roll calls and everything to deal with the defense business, this is how you have to be able to have a structure dealing with the business side. And because the money that is made on the business side gets to support the security sector. Now, same family. And so, but ultimately, those who are running the business side have to be devoted and dedicated and full-time running that. There's a lot of stuff we will discuss as we go along. Number one, you need some new mindset. Business is different from, just the military, but also it has to be full-time. We have to just be thinking about this. Where do we fit? And again, it's just down to personality. Which personality are we? And therefore, which part of this journey would we fit into? So that ultimately, at the end of the day, we can build the teams around us. When you have a team, you have different players. They play different wings. You have a goalkeeper, you have strikers, you have defenders, and every one of them plays critical role, but they play differently. They have different things they do. So therefore, keep that in your mind, even as we go around this, as we go through the process. We are the first people that have been called. I was just saying to the CEO just now, it's our ability to look amongst our ranks that we know. People who already, we think, have this orientation. Already, in all the 4 units we've just identified, begin to think already of people. Now they will go through the records, who has those kind of qualification, who've been doing these things. But because they will do, those people will complement us perfectly. So whilst we are doing our products, we are watching the agriculture stuff, we're doing the medical stuff in terms of the analysis, the biology, whatever diagnostics we're getting in the, agricultural, our medical lab, there'll be somebody who's working behind to turn this into a business. It will take a combination of those working on the product itself and a combination of those who are turning this into a business. There's a joke I would tell, which I've already shared about my in 1998, between 98 and 2000, we had the disarmament process in the country. And I worked with NCDDI, the National Committee for Disarmament. I was finance manager, and we were involved in actually moving funds to pay the disarmament allowances, which was then about $100. But we would fly out with cash from Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, in military, aircraft, armored cars waiting for us. You land, and even the place where you sleep with the cash is cordoned off. Nobody passes across that street. It will be Port Loko. One of the stuff I went out was in Port Loko. And so, the guys had some bush commissioning. The guys who went to wherever they came from, you have brigadiers and all kind of things, bush commissioning. So most of us, the staff at NCDDI, because we were involved every day with this, we also got civilian commissioning. Somehow, I don't even know how it happened, I got commissioned as a colonel. So I was actually colonel, and everybody at NCDDI, once I appear, it's colonel. That's what everybody calls me. So one day I went to Sierra Leone Commercial Bank to do one of these pickups, but then there was a real colonel there. So once Dan Kamara said to me, hey, Colonel, welcome. Colonels would know themselves, naturally. So the colonel who was sitting in the chair turned around to look about who's this colonel that has come in. And I said, no, sir, I'm civilian colonel. I said, I'm civilian colonel. So I have a long story with the military. But anyway, I am thrilled, I'm excited to be working with the military, providing whatever support I can. And I start up body shop in my Life by Design outfit. This is what I do for life, for my living. It's a mission to empower Sierra Leonean entrepreneurs with the knowledge, the skills, and the tools and networks and support they need to start, to grow, and to also sustain their businesses. So that's my life. I look forward to telling you more stories about the progress we'll be making on this journey and on this project.
This is the JB Show, and it's your life by design.